took me to the room next door and gave me the judo throws, flung me from one end of the room to the other for a number of times until I lost count. And when I was at the very end of that torture, I sensed, when I lost count, I don't know when it would stop, I sensed it's going to be the end. And I was resigned to it. How could I get away? How could I get out? It was at that time that my father, who was nearby, heard what was happening and rushed into the room and stood by my side. And then the beating stopped. Attention was drawn to him, the intruder, and he was slapped and beaten. After a while, he must have got tired. And he ordered my father to piggyback to take me to the police station and place me in a police lockup. A few hours later, my father and I were released. No explanations were given, no apologies made. And I could only interpret, with my lack of religious understanding at a tender age of 15, that it was just a stroke of bad luck. Even though I was plucked from the very jaws of death itself. It was almost a year later that, after the Japanese occupation of Malaysia ended, that I was able to find out the extent of my injury, because there were no X-ray machines during the time of the occupation period. And so after the X-ray, the extensive injury, and after 2 surgical operations, I was placed in a plaster cast from my foot to my chest. And I had to lay immobilized for 3 long, dreary months in the hospital. Those were the days. The quality of medicine. Again, religious faith at the beginning was not there to help me. I just had to endure the hardships and stoically. And therefore today I still have a good tolerance of pain and suffering. But fortunately, a group of Methodist youth in the local Wesley Church in Yipo heard of my plight and took it upon themselves the responsibility to visit me. And one in particular, Festus, visited me. I couldn't believe it myself. Regularly, almost every day, for 3 months. He was not academically inclined and had to continue his education in a trade school to be trained as a motor mechanic. Since the trade school was near the hospital, either before or after school, he would come to spend some time with me. So he demonstrated to me the loving spirit, the compassionate heart, and I was touched. He did not share with me any Christian teaching or any Christian message. He did not even pray for me. But more importantly, he shared his life of compassion and care. He did not preach the gospel. But more importantly, he preached the gospel and lived the gospel. That created me, the stirrings in my heart. What drives him? There must be something in his life. It was just plain understanding of what religious faith must mean to him. to show love and express compassion. That began the journey, my spiritual journey to Christian faith. No vision, no voices, no drama. My journey in faith continued in the Wesley Church Youth Group, and I was fortunate to have a missionary pastor by the name of Rev Yap, who died in Ipoh, and I helped to bury him, laid him in the ground in the Christian cemetery in Ipoh, where he remains today. I remember well his sermons that he preached from the minor prophets, Amos, Micah, Hosea. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream, were the words of Amos. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God? So said Micah. For thy desire steadfast love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God and not burnt offerings. Hosea confessed. The message of the major prophet Isaiah made a deep impression on me. Seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he is near. And then very humbly admitted, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, meaning God's thoughts, and neither are your ways my way. Then at that time of my probing and searching, the haunting hymn came to me. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling. Calling for you and for me. See on the portals, he is waiting and watching. Watching for you and for me. Come home, come home. Ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly and tenderly, Jesus is calling. You sinners, come home. I responded and was welcomed into that spiritual home. Then I began my formal theological studies in college and seminary for many, many years. I was again fortunate to be in Boston University School of Theology, regarded to be a premier institution within the United Methodist Church at least. But for us who are graduates of the school, we have a tradition, and it is known to us as the School of the Prophets until today. It is in the very forefront of social justice. For in that time it pioneered, in my days, it pioneered in reaching out to the poor in the city and establishing the goodwill industries to provide employment and to sell second-hand products like the Salvation Army. It also made an outreach to the industrial workers who were working the factories trying to secure their rights, providing pastoral education for counselors so that they can minister to those who are in need.